Hello, welcome to JIBRIN ANGEL on Oweleke TV. Once again, you are welcome to this show with Barrister Austin Manta. We shall be having some political and economic topic to discuss today, which borders the inclusion, Dangote and Elumelu, the inclusion of Dangote and Elumelu's name on National Economic Council. And we shall also be talking about Senator Ningi, I think, threatening to sue Akpabio over his suspension. And the last on the list is the NLC debacle. We have serious issue going on, not NLC, sorry, Labour Party. We have a very serious issue going on with Labour Party, and we shall be talking about the NLC angle of this whole saga. It's a very serious problem, and we need to, we'll be relying on Barrister Manta to actually take us through all these topics today. Hopefully, our viewers will be able to understand the situation on ground, and I appreciate it. Yes, once again, Barrister Manta, thank you once again for joining us on this Saturday out of your busy schedule. We really appreciate, we feel honored that whenever we beckon on you, you always go out of your way to respond to us. Thank you for being this consistent.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's go into that once again. Okay, before we go, for those of you who don't know Barrister Manta is a very senior lawyer who have been in active practice for almost 40 years. I think about 39 years now. This should be his 39th year. Am I right, Barrister? Yeah, the 39th year, right? So it's almost 40 years. So for some of you who are less than that age or about that age, you can imagine for somebody to be practicing a certain specific profession, this consistently on the same profession for almost 40 years. That means that person becomes an authority in that profession. So that is one of the reasons why I have respect for this senior lawyer, who has always also been my friend for a very long time. Yeah, so Barrister Manta, let's start with this angle. Now, there is this issue of National Council, Economic Council that came out, and we heard about, there are so many other names, but what the name that actually aroused my curiosity is that of Elumelu and Dangote. Now, I don't know what is it. I know you are not an economist, but one thing about you is just like you lawyers say, lawyers are learned, and your own, that is the you have the personification of that phrase, actually, because you seem to know virtually any topic. You seem to have knowledge of every and any topic that is presented to you, because you are well read, etc. So economic issues, I know you are not an economist, but I did, at least these are basic principles, this should be the rudiments, the basic knowledge of economics are things you are very well aware of. And sometimes economy, I always tell people, economics sometimes is just matter of common sense. Sometimes there's just common sense things, and that is just it. So, Barrister, can you give us your opinion about this Elumelu? Is it to you, is it normal for well-known businessmen, private sector, to be involved in an economic council of a nation? Remember, mind you, this economic council is usually responsible for the economic policies. So is it normal? Is it usual for you? Is it okay? Do you feel it's okay or something is fishy?
Well, thank you for introducing that important issue. Let me say, by way of beginning, that on this forum, in the past, we have talked about the preparedness of people to come into power, and particularly Tinubu's preparedness to come to power. We have discussed that on the political level, he has spent 20-something years preparing himself to win the presidency. And I have said in the past that what was lacking in that in all those times that he was preparing to capture power, he never prepared for the economic policy that he will implement when he captures that power. His sole focus was on taking the power. Now, that is what happens when you come to power without having a very clear-cut economic policy that you will implement from day one. As of today, knowing what has happened in Nigeria, the economy was on the verge of collapse. Inflation, runaway inflation was there. The country was going down into chaos. The government panicked, and they are now scrambling here and there on what to do to halt the decline in the economy, to halt the decline in the value of the naira, and to halt the inflationary trend that is going on in the country. So you now see the government rallying around trying to bring in people that can constitute a council, that can formulate policies that ought to have been formulated and presented to the electorate on the basis of which the electorate will vote, and on the basis of which, as soon as you are sworn in, you begin to put them on ground. That hard work has just started. They have just started doing that now. And in doing that, because you did not have prior policy, you are doing it like an ad hoc response to the prevailing economic situation. You need everybody or every hand on deck to help you navigate the difficulties that the economy has faced. So in that connection, it is not unusual to draft the predominant business people who contribute to driving the economy. No matter what you say, in every economy, there are individuals and companies that help drive that economy. In some places, you will say that an individual or a company is even bigger than the country by virtue of the volume of turnover the business has. So it is not really unusual to find the government drafting prominent businesses or businessmen to help them navigate through the economic hardship. And I must say that even in the US, I remember there are times that the US president travels with some prominent business people, US business people, in terms of economic. When he travels to foreign countries, they used to draft some prominent economic business people to go along with. So in this case, you know who Dangote is. He's the richest man in Africa. You know who Tony Elumelu is one of Africa's leading business investors. So we are talking about trying to halt the economic decline, to create employment, halt the decline of the naira as a currency. These businesses, in fact, these two people alone If their businesses are properly monitored, it can go a long way in stabilizing, helping to stabilize the naira. So I can see why the government wants to draft them. A businessman like Dangote, who has just built
Refinery.
an oil refinery of close to $20 billion, which is virtually more than what the economy can produce in a year. You can understand the reason. Not just that he has built, he's continuing to need the foreign currency. If his business is properly managed, it can also bring in foreign currency for foreign exchange for the country as a whole. Because if he builds his refinery and is able to export the product, it can help to bring foreign exchange. The same thing with Tony Elumeru, with about 18 businesses that span across 20 African countries. You can see the importance of such a business person to economic revival. Now, whether their interest, whether their personal interest and their personal private business interest will be put aside to help the Nigerian economy stabilize is another thing. But I hope you can understand the necessity or the need to bring in such people. The question will be whether they can subsume their personal interests and business interests for the interests of the country. That remains to be seen.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. I understand what you just, your analogy it made sense to me. But honestly, while it made sense to me, it stinks. The whole thing stinks to me. Now, you quoted US. Now, US actually moving around, traveling with top business moguls, with the president or whatever. They do that because for investment purposes, not adding them to the economic team. Not adding them to the economic team. What they do is just like during Donald Trump, what he did was, okay, Mnuchin was involved. He's a billionaire and who is a business tycoon. So what he did was he was appointed to head it. So Mnuchin was full-time for that 4 years. It was full-time doing that stuff. So what we do in the US, the way they practice it is when you are appointed as a government official, there is what you call, just like Donald Trump did it too. I think you transfer, there is this, what they call it, trust fund or whatever, I've forgotten what the full name, something trust. So you have to place everything that belongs to your personal stuff under trust, under a trust fund. You sign it or whatever, it just stays there. So it will be that it creates a division between you and between the interests of the government, interests of the people, and your interests. So there's a clear demarcation. In this case, that is not what is happening here. We all know how Dangote has been manipulating. He's been monopolizing. He's been manipulating the government and monopolizing the business sector. He has monopolized importation. He has monopolized, he's gradually monopolizing even the oil industry right now, the refining industry. He's virtually monopolizing everything. He's the only one, he's the sole importer of sugar to Nigeria. He's the sole importer of rice or whatever. I think, or is he sole? Yeah, there are other people, but basically almost sole, almost exclusive to him. So, and this same person again, you are bringing him to become a member, appointing him to be a member of the National Economic Team or Council. What do you expect? This is a typical Nigerian, DNA. Most Nigerians, you put them, give them such opportunity, they will exploit it. They will exploit it to their interests. That is just the point. When I saw this thing, I said, "Oh my God, this is even." Dangote has been manipulating and monopolizing manipulating the most success since Obasanjo, from Obasanjo regime. He's been manipulating manipulating the government and the government economic policies in his interest, personal and selfish interests. And now, and since then, he has been monopolizing. Manipulating and monopolizing, that's what he's been doing. Now you want his own, this is you are not even bringing him into the decision-making mechanism. And what do you expect? Of course, honestly, Dangote, Elumelu, they are not there. They will, and for God's sake, for the fact that it is somebody like Tinubu that is even that is even doing this. Everything stinks. I told you anything and everything about Tinubu. Nothing can ever be viewed, and nothing that ever came from Tinubu or that will ever come from Tinubu will ever be seen to be genuine and sincere. Everything will always have the connotation of corruption. And that is just the truth. For God's sake, why would you put this man? This man has been monopolizing business for so many years, for decades now. Over 2 decades. Since 1999. And you just bring him on board to Kukuma just to totally just commandeer the entire country's economy. Honestly, this whole thing stinks. The list stinks. That is just the truth. Elumelu and whatever, I don't expect the real core businessmen to be involved with government policies. What do you expect? Government policies, you are bringing somebody that has interest. This is what we call conflict of interest. You don't bring in someone that excuse me, that has everything to do with the body. Everything. He has everything to do with. He has everything to benefit. Everything to benefit. It's a win-win thing. In this, being in this body, in this council, he has everything to benefit. And you agree. This is a clear conflict of interest. So what we will do, what Dangote will eventually do is just everything will just flow well now. He makes the policy now. So what do you expect? He's going to sniff oxygen out of competitors, just like he did to Ibeto Cement. Yeah? He did it to Ibeto Cement. Ibeto Cement today, he bankrupted it because he frustrated Ibeto using government, using the manipulation of government that he has been doing all since 1999. He snuffed life out of Ibeto Cement. Now he monopolized the cement industry, the cement business in his favor. So that is the point. And this same person, this is honestly, it is crazy. Honestly, it is unacceptable. No, it reeks of corruption. No, nobody will ever take it seriously. Well, that is just it. I think we have to move to the next. I said you have very.
Let me add that we forgot to mention that there are actually 2 councils that were created.
Okay.
The first one is the Economic Emergency Task Force. Then the second one, to which Tony Elumelu and Dangote are members, is what they call the Presidential Economic Coordinating Council, PECC. The first one is the Economic Emergency Task Force. That task force is supposed to formulate policies for the implementation by the Presidential Economic Coordinating Council, of which the president is the chairman, and of which Dangote and Co are members. Like we said, and like I alluded to, the issue of conflict of interest is real, because nobody has or can convince me that some of these monolith businesses in Nigeria are not part of the problem of our economic problem.
Yeah.
So when you do this, and like you rightly gave the example, in the US, when you are in private business and you are appointed to a presidential position, you are forced to abdicate the management of your businesses. You put them in trust to create a clear dichotomy between your management of your personal business and your service in the public sector, so that you do not use the advantages of your being in that council, in that presidential council, for the benefit of your private company. But we have not heard anything about that here. You just bring these people into a presidential council. You did not say anything about the conflict of interest.
Yeah, that's the point.
And it is understandable, being a human being, if they want to utilize whatever information, whatever knowledge, whatever policy they are framing and implementing at that council for the benefit, exclusive benefit of their company, even when it is not in the interest of the economic well-being of the country as a whole. So that is what the challenge is.
That's the point. That is the point. So that is just it. It is crazy. It is crazy. Again, Tinubu, nothing good will ever come from Tinubu. That is my watchword, and that is it. The next let's talk about briefly. We need this. I just want to know this Ningi's whatever. I think for the first time, the Ningi taking what's his name, Akpabio, to court for his suspension. Now, this is the people. It happened in the past. None of them actually took this bold step. A sort of, although he has not taken him, I think he threatened doing that, right? Yes, yeah. So the thing is, does Ningi have a case? If in case he eventually takes him to court, does he have a case to reverse his suspension?
Well, you know, law is, we always say law is an ass. It's a difficult question to just say he does not have a case or to say he has a case. There are a lot of variables in between that will end up forming a decision of the court. By and large, every parliament, be it the Senate or the House of Reps, regulates their own activities and rules, mean their own operation, apart from some constitutional guidelines that are provided in the Constitution. They basically organize their own rules to operate as a Senate, as a legislature. So you have the Senate rules, you have the rules for House of Reps that regulate their sitting, their operations, and under each of these rules, there are provisions for suspension of a member. Now, there are different issues in that place. For instance, a member that is rude, discourteous, who interferes with the proper running of the House can be suspended by the House. Will you say he has a cause of action? Will you say the court, which is a separate arm of government, to prevent another separate independent arm of government from carrying out its activities in the way it knows best? That is one question. On the other hand, the length of the suspension can also make the court to intervene, because the person is there to represent a constituency. If you suspend him for 3 months, it means you have denied that constituency of representation for that entire period. So these are the balancing act. Why it is important to allow them freedom of operation in terms of, okay, taking action. The Senate and the House have the sergeant at arms that can remove a member who has become disorganized, who is rude, who is preventing debate or activities of the House to Senate to go on. But to what extent will that body have the right to suspend somebody on what may be a very elongated time or even become permanent? Because If the court does not intervene, the man comes back after 3 months and he's again suspended for 3 months. Will you now give the Senate the power to permanently annul the will of that constituent's electorate who elected that person and disentitle them from contributing or having their voice heard in the House of Assembly or the House of whatever legislative body it is? So those are the challenging questions that the court will have to balance carefully. Now, in balancing this aspect, the court will look at the details of the reasons and the details of how it was done. And then there are constitutional provisions like fair hearing. Was the man given fair hearing? Because this appears to be one of the things he is complaining against, that he was not given. I remember the letter that his solicitors wrote to the Senate is one of the reasons they are complaining about, that he was not given fair hearing. Now, fair hearing is a constitutional procedure. Anytime you want to take an action that affects the rights of a person, you are supposed to give him fair hearing. You are supposed to be fair. If you do not give him fair hearing, that action can be struck down. So these are the things the court will look into. However, as at yesterday, I remember when the Senate President, Akpabio, he just returned from International Parliamentary Union trip in Geneva and other places. And he was accosted by reporters and asked about the threat by Ningi to take the senator himself to court. And he parried the question, but he said, well, in a matter of a few days, Ningi will be back with them. That is discounting the 3 months suspension. So what is on foot now is to recall Ningi as soon as maybe within the next week or the next 2 weeks. That will now avoid a situation where the court will have the opportunity to dwell on these issues if it's recalled.
All right, that's okay. I just wanted to get your opinion on that because this Akpabio of the thing, honestly, I don't think. The truth is, the fact and the reality is, we've never had such a corrupt and morally depraved Senate president. We've had corrupt Senate presidents from the First Republic to date. But man, Akpabio's corruption is unprecedented. And besides, he's just untamed. He talks anyhow, so flippant. So sometimes he doesn't even behave as a leader, actually. Leaders are known for decorum and orderliness. The leaders are known for measurements, measuring what they say and how they say it. He just talks anyhow like a drunkard or whatever. So he's just an irresponsible Senate president and corrupt, for that matter. That is just it. I honestly, what do we expect? Everything about Tinubu government that man is just, everything about him is just, he's just not it. His government is the most corrupt, as far as I'm concerned. That is my opinion, though. Most corrupt, because his foundation is corrupt. The Senate president was the same Wahala. The only speaker, okay, the speaker, a good gentleman, because I know him. I think I've traveled with the speaker. I've traveled to some countries. We traveled together on the same flight with some to some. So I think I know him, not too close, but I know him a little. And I think he's a decent man so far, at least so far. I don't know much about it because he's not been in government before. This is the first time. He's been a businessman. This is the first time he's giving. So I can't judge him right now until after 4 years or thereabouts. So let's move to the last topic. The last topic is has to do with barrister. Labour Party. The party that was supposed to assume the leadership of the country. The party is in disarray right now. Not surprised. I expected that, but I didn't expect it to come this fast. So everything is in disarray in Labour Party. It's been factionalized anyway. Technically it's been factionalized. So what is your opinion about what is going on, and what is the hula baloo about NLC? Why is NLC a kind of claiming to have to be the owner of Labour Party as a party? Can you take us into the legal aspects of one? What is the relation between NLC and Labour Party? Who owns it? Labour Party is supposed to be an independent, supposed to be a political party or whatever. NLC, okay, according to their whatever, how they register, NLC is supposed to have on the board. I think NLC has a chair, 1 or 2 chairs there, or whatever, on the board. So can you define to us first the relation between NLC and Labour Party? Then we can now talk about the squabble that is going on, the in-house problem or quarrel that is going on.
Yes, thank you very much for that. The Labour Party, as the name implies, was anchored by the Nigeria Labour Congress. And don't forget, it has been in existence before the 2023 elections. At one point, I think at the height of their existence, before this latest occurrence of election, they were able to produce a governor in Ondo State, Governor Mimiko.
Mimiko, yeah.
If you remember, the NSC anchored the formation of the Labour Party as a means of participating in politics. So from the point of view of the NSC, they believe they own the Labour Party. Having said that, legally, because we have the Constitution, we have provisions dealing with the formation of parties, nobody owns a party. Nobody owns a party. A party is not like a business venture where you have majority shares and minority shares and minority ownership and majority ownership. A party is the exclusive property of all the members. And for that reason, by law, it has to periodically elect its directing officials from the ward level to the local government level, to the state level, to the zonal level, and to the national level. They periodically are supposed to elect from among their members. This election is not appointment by law. And you have to contrast this with a company or a business where the person who has majority shares say, I'm the owner, I decide who is the managing director, I decide who is this, who is that in the company. In the party, it is not so. It is the structures of the party constitutionally enabled that are the directing organs of the party. And these structures are not the ownership of any single person. For instance, at the ward level, if the ward executives of the party, of the Labour Party, for instance, are to be elected, members of the ward in that ward will vie for that. Nobody from outside the ward will come and contest for that. And the people that those members in that ward elect become the leaders of the party in that ward. Now you replicate that at the local government level, replicate that at the state government level, and then at the national level. So you get a good idea of what a party is. You may have formed a party, but you are not the owner of the party. you can still have interest in the party in the sense that a lot of your people are there, is the party of your choice and others, but you do not own the party. Nobody owns the party apart from members of the party. So it is not a correct thing legally to say, oh, NLC are the owners of Labour Party. That would not be correct speaking legally.
All right. Now that brings us to the next question. What is your opinion about what is going on right now between Abure? Abure just conducted a sham. Anyway, let me not just let me hear from you first. But I don't feel it's a sham. It's a sham Congress, a convention rather. So, what is your opinion about what happened? What has been happening all this while? Because Abure has been to me, I think he has been a liability, and rather than an investment or an asset to the Labour Party. Well, can you take us down memory lane, then bring it up to what happened yesterday, 2 days ago rather, on the convention issue? Yeah, please go ahead.
Just as you are aware, in the run-up to the 2023 elections, and even before, the whole Nigerian political scenery is dominated by two political parties at any time. Apart from 1979, where we had about 3 or 4 parties that were dominant. After that, for most of our history after 1979, we have 2 dominant parties, whether it was the time of the military regime of General Babangida, where you have the NRC and the SDP. Even in the time of Abacha, when he had 5 political parties, 2 of them were dominant. And they were known by everybody in Nigeria as the dominant party. Up to 1999, 2 parties remained dominant. Now, what catapulted the Labour Party to a third force, so to speak, because they have existed before without the current clout that they are having. What catapulted them into a third force is the infusion of the obedient movement and the personality of the presidential candidate, that is Peter Obi. From the moment Peter Obi left the PDP and cast his lot with the Labour Party, everything about the party changed. Their prospects changed, their outlook changed, their visibility changed because of the infusion of the obedient movement, which was dominated by the youth. So you begin to see, at the beginning, the political forces of the country did not give them much attention or hope. They just took them as, okay, one of those other parties. But as time went by, they saw that the Labour Party was becoming a real threat to the 2 big parties that were existing. And so they set up or started trying to infiltrate the party and destabilize it. In the run-up to 2023 presidential election, you could see the hand of the other parties, the 2 big parties. And I can say it boldly that both the APC and the PDP had a hand in destabilizing the Labour Party for their own selfish ends. And in Nigeria, with the system we have, it's easy if you want to achieve that kind of thing. You just get some few people and go and make a press conference, and every crisis starts. So we found ourselves with a group of officials in Edo State at the world level that came up and made a press conference that they have suspended the national chairman Abure with his own executives. That was the beginning of the crisis. Now, I have been in politics myself, and I'm also acquainted with the constitution of virtually all the parties. In all the parties, the world executive has no power to suspend a national officer of the party. Or even if they do, they channel it through the appropriate quarters until it is ratified by the National Executive Committee of that party. If that provision was not there, no party will be safe. But in this case, because some powerful external forces were behind the crisis, they put a lot of wood into the fire, and the crisis snowballed into what we have today as major crisis in Labour Party that has refused to abet, even though court cases have been taken and pronounced. At a point, we thought the matter has been laid to rest by the Supreme Court, and Abure has been confirmed as the national chairman. Then we started hearing rumors that the Labour Congress claimed that the party is their party and they want to take back their party. They want to appropriate their party, to take it back, so to speak. So I think it was in that connection, either Abure panicked or somehow, and he hurriedly convened a national convention of the party at, I think, in
Anambra.
In Anambra. Unfortunately for him, the major force in the party as at today, which is Peter Obi, boycotted the
convention.
The convention. And he gave reason. He said that the convention was hurriedly put up and stakeholders were not consulted properly before it was staged. So we have this situation where the convention was hurriedly put up, Abure returned as the vote of confidence and everything put in Abure as national chairman. Whereas a lot of other stakeholders in the party do not want him to be there. Remember, at the point that he was suspended and they got a court order to restrain him, Apapa and
Arambabia, what I can't remember that name. Yeah, Arambabia. Yes.
They took over the running of the affairs of we are claiming to be running the affairs of the party. There were multiple court orders and counter court orders. So now the situation is that not everybody is happy with what happened in Anambra State in the name of a convention. And particularly, the major stakeholders of the party are not happy with that convention. INEC have disowned the convention.
Yeah.
And you know that by law,
yeah,
the party is supposed to give notice of its national convention to INEC for INEC to monitor such a convention. INEC are saying that they are not aware of that convention, they were not notified, so they have disowned it. The presidential candidate of the party, Peter Obi, has disowned it, even though the convention came up with a resolution that they have reserved the presidential ticket
exclusively
of the party for 2027. You can see in that resolution
desperation.
There's a lot of desperation behind. How can you be talking of reserving a presidential ticket for an individual when the party has a constitution on how that presidential candidate will emerge? So you can see where the problem is. as of now, we can say it is a piece of the graveyard, because Abure himself is not sitting comfortably.
Yeah.
And his own detractors are also not sitting well. So the Labour Party is almost like they say, on a death wish, because all these things are actually avoidable.
Yeah.
But they have played into the hands of detractors, and now they are on what we call a sick bed.
Now, what is the implication on the OB 2027 ambition?
Well, as far as Obi is concerned, 2027 is far away. As we speak, as things happen in politics in Nigeria, a lot of consultations across board is going on. I'm sure you have read that there are rumors that Peter Obi, Rufai, and few others want to come together, possibly exploit the Social Democratic Party platform for 2027. And when Rufai visited the National
SDP.
Secretariat of SDP, the rumors were amplified. He has not actually denied it, although he put it in political terms that he just went there to see his friends. But you can bet that a lot of consultation is going on the ground for the purposes of 2027. And if you read the statement that Obi gave out, he said he came out and his promise was to renew and promote Nigeria, not to renew and promote the Labour Party or a political party. His ambition is to promote and make Nigeria progress, not a political party. So you can see those statements and situate them in the context of 2027, that it is too early to even say whether Peter Obi will contest the election on the platform of PDP, or whether he will still be in that party by 2027. There will be a realignment of forces, just like Atiku is doing. Other political actors are also doing their own work.
Anyway, my opinion has not changed about this Peter Obi issue, because my opinion is based on common sense. Like I say, I always tell people, look, I am neither an optimist nor a pessimist. I am just a realist. I view situation, assess them, and make my judgment out of just common sense. And that's just it. And the common sense is that, for God's sake, Tinubu was not in power. Someone else was in power. Yes, yet he was able to muzzle himself, bulldoze himself to become the president. Rigged himself, corrupted his system in an unprecedented way to get to become the president. Talk less of now that he is the president. He's the one who controls the military, the police, the INEC, controls everybody. He calls the shots now. He controls the entire apparatus of government. He is the commander-in-chief now. And you think anyone can unseat him? They can unseat him if it's a clear-cut election. If it's a transparent, fair, free election. But as we all know, Tinubu does not play fair. He never played fair. He will never play fair. So if he was that desperate when he had no power in his hand, how much more will he be, even 10 times more desperate, when he has all the apparatus of government in his hands, holding them firm? he will definitely dictate the tune in 2027. And there's nothing. Just like I said, we missed it during this. Obi start. I keep saying that. Look, honestly, Obi this 2023. Honestly, we all missed it. We all missed it. We lost a very, very ample opportunity. There has never been such a time in Nigeria that Nigeria actually experienced such kind of political revolution. The projection of political transformation and very, very high expectation from especially the youth. The youth have never, this 2023 presidential election was the first time that we experienced, we noticed the passion and the enthusiasm of the youths in politics. Virtually everyone, including illiterates, became interested in politics in 2023. It was all Obi, it was all Obi, Labour Party, Obi, Labour Party. The entire media world was agog with Obi chants and slogans. Like they always say, opportunity comes but once in life. We missed that opportunity in 2023. Obi will never, he won't smell that again. Honestly, he's my best. I prayed so hard. I was so passionate about Obi because I know, I was convinced, and I'm still convinced he's kind of person is the kind of person Nigeria needs at this juncture, at this crossroad that we have found ourselves as Nigerians. He's the best so far on those that we already know. Honestly, he has the record is there, for God's sake. The man's way of life, his principles, his personal and business principles speaks for themselves. His government policies, what he did when as a governor, a two-time governor for 8 years, speaks for him. Look, he is the only. Do you know what it means for the government to be on your case, to go to dig out a dirt against something they can use against you? Obi is the only person, only politician that the powers that be decided to focus on, decided to really pull down, decided to look for something to actually stop them, to stop him. They could not find. When the apparatus of government is dispatched against an individual, against you, it will be difficult for them not to find something. It will be almost impossible not to find something against you. Yet, it happened to Peter Obi. In Peter Obi's case, they couldn't find anything. He's the only governor that was never, not even rumor of being invited by the EFCC during and after his governorship reign. The only governor that was, not even a rumor, nothing. So that man is just so clean, politically clean, economically clean, administratively clean. The only governor who, you can imagine a governor who was a governor for 8 years, never had a land, signed a land to himself or any member of his family. What governor, who could have done that? So that man is the best. Who could have been the best president Nigeria ever had. That he could, honestly. And he will be, okay, I don't know of the future, but someone like he will be the best president Nigeria will ever have. Speaking of today. For God's sake, there is no one in the entire political sphere, there is no political dignitary, political personality in the entire country with Obi's antecedents or his record. None. None. So honestly, I love that man. I love his virtues. I love his character. But I am a realist. I'm just a realist. There is nothing. Unfortunately, he's not going to be there. It's not, they won't let him. They will not. Tinubu, if he was able to achieve it when he had no power, not how much more. So, and honestly, if Tinubu remains alive after 2027, it will honestly, it will roll over everything. It's going to be a run over. Because now he has all the powers.
I wholeheartedly agree with you on Peter Obi. I am one of those who believe 100% that in relation to the people that were contesting for presidency, nobody can be ranked near to him.
No.
In terms of capacity, in terms of integrity, and in terms of what the country needed, the kind of leadership the country needed at this moment in time. The only person in our history that I can equate Peter Obi to is Obafemi Awolowo when he was alive. Both of them were or are highly principled people who took time to reflect and study the problems of Nigeria. Unfortunately, both of them do not know how to play
politics
by the Nigerian book.
That is it.
In politics.
Yeah.
And for that reason, they could not have access to power. I recall, I know during the lifetime of Obafemi Awolowo, I was grown up, I think I was in the university. 2 incidents that I continue to experience because Awolowo came to our village by helicopter.
Yeah.
And at that time, there has never been a time in history that our people have seen a helicopter face to face like this. And it landed in the football field of the primary school. There are 2 football fields in that primary school. So it landed on one of the football fields. And then they went and put the dais where he will stand and talk in the next football field. So the whole town, with people who were in the farms, who were in the market, who were drinking, everybody left what they were. Some were running, some were on bicycles, some on motorcycles. The whole field was jam-packed, but they were not at the point where the dais where Awolowo was supposed to pick. They were in the other field where the helicopter, where the helicopter landed. And the state coordinator of Unity Party of that time was calling them in our language that they should come to this side. Awolowo is here. When Awolowo, if they vote Awolowo win, he will buy plane for them. Nobody.
Oh my God.
Nobody responded. Only a few people, a few party men stood at this thing. Thousands and thousands and thousands were gathered around the helicopter.
Oh my God. What a funny scenario.
He made a statement. You know, in that time, the political juggernaut of Benue State was J.S. Tucker.
Yeah, okay.
And if you go back into the First Republic, at a point, J.S. Tucker used his United Middle Belt Congress to ally with Action Group, Awolowo's Action Group. And Awolowo promised to help him create a Middle Belt region if he won power at the federal level. That was in the First Republic. In the Second Republic, and there were some things that it was said that J.S. Tucker swore before Awolowo that he would never follow the Hausa people, the Northerners. However, in 1979, he made a turnaround and followed MPN, was a kingpin of MPN. So when Awolowo came to Benue, he was telling them that, look, he met J.S. Tucker as a redundant grade 3 teacher. And he brought him up You know, I'm just relating this to show that the man was, he was not politically savvy. You cannot come to a people, an illiterate people, who do not understand your sophistication, and they use that your sophisticated language and method. The people told it that he has come to abuse them. by abusing, by abusing the prominent son. So, and then there's a time he went to, I think he was going to Abba, and he went and made a statement that if he becomes president, he will ban the importation of second-hand goods. And that was the economy of
Yeah, so you can imagine about honestly the Igbos.
now economically, it was the right thing to do. But politically, you cannot go and say that the people benefiting from that system. So even though these people were very, very charismatic people and good leaders, they were not good politicians.
Yes.
That's what I can say of Peter Obi as well.
Yeah, that is it. Honestly, as I said earlier on this Peter Obi's case, we just missed the mark. 2023, honestly, what I expected them, because we've never had such kind of passion and enthusiasm from the generality of the populace. Honestly, what I expected when that thing happened, when Tinubu reached this, I expected occupation. Everyone in a civil manner, honestly, just like what happened in Egypt. That's what I expected. Occupy Abuja, occupy important key locations in Nigeria. Start from Aso Rock. Just occupy. That is just it. But and Peter Obi, I expected Peter Obi to spare. Look, you know, I love that man so much, but there is this thing I don't like about him. Just like you noted, he's not a politician. He does not have the spirit of a politician. It's not, his DNA is just, it's not the, look, power. It's just like what Tinubu said it all. Power. If you want power, you have to wrest it out. You have to be aggressive. It's not about going fighting, physical fights. You have to be aggressive with your mentality. Your mentality has to be aggressive. Otherwise, power, you can't just attain power just like, power is very, 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 it's a very strong force that you cannot get it by being by being, do I say decent? Okay, not decency, but by being a kind of rigid.
By being rigid.
A sort of, so you can't do that way. So that is just the point. So honestly, I expected Peter Obi to spearhead peaceful protest, just like what is his name? He died of it, but and so what? At least no matter what, I rather I die for doing the right thing than to stay alive as a hypocrite. That's the truth. And that's like what MK Abiola did during military. He refused to accept the results. He refused to accept the annulment. That's exactly what I expected from Peter Obi. Call out your supporters. The country was behind you. Everyone, just call out your supporters. Let us occupy Nigeria. Occupy the country peacefully. Peacefully. Not fight, not whatever. There are protests that can bring down a government. You can't fight the government. Government have all the physical weapon, war weapon to fight. So you can't fight the government. So the best way to fight the government is through occupation, civil occupation. Occupy everything. You will cripple the economy, cripple the government. That is what I expected Peter Obi to do. The worst case scenario, they would have arrested him. And so what? Arresting him will even make him more popular, both globally and locally. That is the strategy I expected Peter Obi to take. You become the Nelson Mandela of South Africa, of Nigeria. I mean, you become the Nelson Mandela. I expected him to utilize that. He missed that opportunity. Not only him, Nigerians missed that opportunity. That would have been the opportunity that would have caused real political revolution in a very peaceful way in Nigeria, just like it happened in Egypt. but he missed it. He will never be there, unfortunately. Tinubu, if God keeps him alive, he will still he will bulldoze the voting. It will be a runover. That's just the truth. Unfortunately, Peter Obi, let him just go, and he has made his mark. He has made his mark. So let him just go and rest, sort of, because nothing. That's just the truth. He's not going to be there. We all missed that opportunity. Barrister, thank you so very much. If you don't, except you have something to say to run, just briefly, because I'm running. Do you have any other thing to say? No, no thoughts. All right, thank you so much, viewers. Thank you for joining us. My name is JIBRIN, and this is JIBRIN Angle. We are coming to you on Oweleke TV, and we have been discussing with Barrister Austin Manta, who is a very, very senior and respected legal practitioner. Somebody who has spent almost 40 years as a lawyer, practicing lawyer, and he is the principal partner of AA Manta, excuse me, AA Manta and Co. So we have been discussing all the issues, and we appreciate him for all the insight he has given to us on the topics of the day. Thank you, Barrister Manta, once again for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we call it a day for now. Thank you so much, viewers. Join us again next week as we bring to you another interesting segment. My name is JIBRIN. Remain blessed.